Welcome, everybody. You are watching The Link right here in association with APLA Health and Pyro Media Network. We have a fabulous show for you today. We have a wonderful guest that we are all excited to talk to, someone that we work with on a regular basis, so we get to share her love with you, and that is the lovely Leah Solomon. She'll be talking about her work in PrEP navigation. But before we get into that, I want to introduce my wonderful co-host, and they'll introduce themselves because they have that capability. Yes, say hi to our audience, y'all.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Happy Tuesday.
I know, happy Tuesday, right?
It's been a whole nother week. How y'all been? How was the weekend? Halloween is upon us. Are y'all prepared?
You know what? Due to COVID, it doesn't feel like it's Halloween week. Yeah. I'm not expecting any children to knock at my door, which I hope they don't, because I did not go buy candy. So I'll be giving high fives out at the door.
Not high fives. Wait a minute.
Just don't.
Well, I was giving you guys wonderful retroness, so I gave you denim pearls today. I'm giving you very 80s, very Jessica Biel's, very flash dance, because I feel like, you know, it was the sort of kind of costume that I could bring to y'all without going full on costuming. You know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, I am giving you, I just finished working out and I might smell a little bit realness. So
mine says big forehead.
I don't know. Yours says I'm pulling these luscious curls back because I don't want them in my face, and they look amazing, by the way.
They do. Yes, they do.
So, Kai, why don't you give us some wonderfulness? Let people know who we're going to be bringing on today.
Yeah, so we are bringing on one of my favorite people in the office.
Mine too.
Here, the wonderful, the absolutely amazing, magnanimous Leah Solomon. Round of applause.
Oh, wow, I'm here already. Hi, everyone. Thank you for that.
Hi.
And you guys have amazing energy, like always. This is how everyone is in the office as well as outside of the office.
Look at Leah. Leah's that's why she has the mask on, so.
Yes.
Right. She is following all of the
I think
protocol.
it's a good Tuesday for this type of energy, because in a week, you know, we are electing a new head of the country. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about you.
Right, a new head of the country.
Well, for those of you who do not know Miss Leah Solomon, she is a wonderful, fabulous individual that works with APLA Health. She is a part of the APLA Health Prevention Division. She works in our biomedical sector of the division. And so, Leah, why don't you give us a little bit of history in, number one, what you do, and then how you came to be a part of the APLA family.
How did you become the Leah Solomon that is helping everyone getting on PrEP? This is my girl right here.
So I was born.
Your name in full makes me think of an opera singer, and I don't know why. Like when I say Leah Solomon, I don't know. It just sounds like this diva of opera. Like, I love it.
Well, I don't do that, if everyone wants to know. But I'm glad that you have a positive connotation with my name. So yesterday I actually had my annual evaluation. So as of November 18th, 2020, I will have been with APLA for 1 year. So I'm very excited for that. And so APLA is down the street from where I live and where I grew up. So I always saw it. And I was like, oh my God, I kind of want to work there. One time, I think I was like in 12th grade, and I like walked in. I was like, well, if it's local, it must be easy to get a job here. I was clearly not ready at that point. But when I was in college, I decided to study Assembly Bill 2640, which was about PrEP and PEP and making that more inaccessible. So anytime anyone got a negative test result, they would have to learn about PrEP and PEP given this bill, and it was co-sponsored by APLA. So I was like, oh wow, like the connections kept coming in. And so when I finally graduated from college, I was like, maybe this time if I applied, they would decide to let me work there. And so I also had training. I worked on a mobile testing unit where I described what PrEP and PEP basically were to a lot of people, and so I kind of wanted to be stationary and still kind of continue work focusing on PrEP and PEP. And so I applied, and I've been here for a year.
Yay, we love having you here.
Yeah. Thank you, Kai.
So now, Leah, I guess it's the perfect time to kind of really get into today's topic. So we asked you on the show, one, because we love having you in the office, and whenever there's a good conversation to be had, Leah is always the one who's everyone off with some of these points that she's been throwing. I'm like, oh. But it's also because you are an expert on PrEP. I would say you are definitely one of our most knowledgeable people, which I mean, obviously is part of your job, but you came in with so much knowledge already. So we want to have you on here because, we talk about PrEP often, but it would only seem to be better to include one of our PrEP navigators in this conversation. So for the people at home who don't know, if they've been living under a rock or haven't been watching any of our other social media things, what is PrEP? What is PrEP?
Right. So I like to tell my clients that PrEP is like birth control for HIV, whereas PEP is like Plan B. And so it kind of goes with their names. PrEP has pre-exposure prophylaxis, and then PEP is post-exposure. So you can remember it as like the beginning and the end, and when you've been exposed, to kind of remember when you would use either or. With PrEP, you would take it every day, just like you would take birth control if you didn't want to get pregnant. And so you probably should be taking it around the same time every day. You would be able to kind of customize your own schedule with it. But as of right now, what we endorse at APLA is taking it every day. That increases the efficacy of PrEP and how well it would work. So if you take it around the same time, there's less of a chance of you like skipping a dose. And once you skip a dose, it's easy to kind of continue skipping. And so in order to not have that happen, we always recommend that people take it every day, even using alarm clocks. And then with PEP is a regimen that you would take for 28 days within 72 hours of exposure to HIV or possible exposure. And so in that time, you would contact us and we'd see if you qualify for a lot of our programs, if you have insurance, if we are in network, out of network, and that's a whole long process, but we can go into that later if you guys want. Okay, perfect. I just did it actually before we got on here. So, and if that happens, we will do like intake. We'll ask you a few questions. We'll start you on PEP that day. And that way, at the end of your 28 days, you come back to us and we finish up. And we will constantly do follow-ups to make sure you're okay, but we won't annoy you. We'll do a health literacy screener just to make sure, if it seems like you have a good grasp of what we've been telling you, we won't call you like 5 times a week or anything like that. So it's like client-centered care, but also we'll be there and we're just a phone call away.
I have a question for you, Leah.
Okay, go ahead, Ty.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Ty.
Sorry. So, oftentimes as prevention training specialists, the three of us get the same conversation occasionally with some of our clients when we bring up PrEP, and they will say, well, I don't think that that's for me. So since we have the expert on this show today, can you tell us who is PrEP for? Really,
everyone is what I say. So, we have Truvada and Descovy. And as of right now, Descovy hasn't finished being tested on cisgender women, not because it doesn't work, but because they haven't been able to get the sample size that they needed in the past. But they're currently working on that. So Truvada, though, does work for everyone and has been tested on everyone. So that means we can give it to anyone. But we do see that a lot of times we struggle with getting women on to PrEP. And a lot of people believe they don't engage in risky behaviors, but existing basically means you engage in risky behaviors. And so that's why I say everyone should consider PrEP.
Existing in risky behavior. True.
I think
someone froze.
Question as well.
I'm sorry to tell
you. So I'm gonna go to my question. So I know that for us, we do several things. Obviously, we are prevention training specialists. We deal with the sex conversation, we do HIV testing, also incorporate PrEP and PEP conversations in the work that we do. But being that PrEP is like the sole thing that you do, what are some of the biggest things that people have, the biggest hurdles that you find clients have when discussing?
I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties.
It has to be done.
He's helping me.
I knew definitely Dante. That's definitely Dante.
Take your mask off.
I know, but I'm worried. I want to be a good role model to our viewers. I'm sorry, Daniel. Can you get
Live TV, guys. This is live.
Please say your
What
question
happens when it
again.
is live. So I was saying that we do a lot of different things as PrEP, as prevention training specialists. We have a lot of different conversations regarding sex, sexual activity, and all of that good stuff. But you solely deal only with PrEP and PEP, and so I want to know, what are some of the hurdles as on your end that you find or see that clients have when it comes to discussing PrEP and PEP or getting on PrEP?
Right. So, like Ty brought up, a lot of people do kind of bring up this, I don't believe PrEP is for me. And I've had patients who've been on PEP a few times tell me that. And I'm like, well, maybe you should consider it just so you don't have to come and get PEP, which is more of an intensive treatment. And because it's time sensitive, it's going to be stressful on the person, our clinic, so if they decided to just start PrEP ahead of time, we would kind of minimize any chance of them really needing to start PEP. And then another one that I see is that a lot of our patients are enrolled through PrEP app, which thanks to California will cover their medical visits and their lab costs. However, with PrEP app, a patient will have to re-enroll every year. And so there's a bunch, I wouldn't say a bunch, but there's a significant amount of paperwork that is involved with the PrEP app enrollment or re-enrollment process. And so sometimes our patients have a bit of trouble kind of following through. And so I usually like to remind them that, it would take less than an hour to gather all the information, sometimes less than 30 minutes. But they would have a year of medication coverage, really, with PrEP and Gilead. So yes, it is work, but it is work that will be worth it in the end. So those are the two main issues I usually come across.
So here's a question I have for you, because I think a lot of people sometimes don't realize the time that it takes for PrEP to be effective. Can you talk about, how long does it take for PrEP to be effective? Do I take one pill and then I'm covered, or how does that work?
Right. So for anal sex, it should take about 7 days. For vaginal, it takes about 28, vaginal receptive. And so I think with intravenous drug use, it's also 28 days. So if you pop your PrEP today, I wouldn't tell you go engage in the most riskiest behavior because you've now taken one Truvada pill. But maybe waiting that 7 to 28 day period, depending on what you'll be engaging in, to stay HIV negative.
Great. So here's another question. Oh, Ty, do you have a question?
Yeah, but if you want to go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask about side effects, because I know a lot of people always talk about, I was on PrEP for a week and I had side effects and then I was done. What do you tell clients about that?
Right. So usually I'll tell most of our patients that not all of them are going to experience side effects. In fact, most of my patients don't ever experience side effects. And we do call them after initiating PrEP for after the 4 days. And so we will see, it's not that they're not telling us or we just have no knowledge of it. So we do call to check on them. And a lot of times they say that, no, they're not experiencing any side effects. For those that are experiencing side effects, it usually does last for the first week or the first few days. And so what they experience is a bit of nausea, fatigue, or just they feel different is what I get. But that tends to kind of wear off after that initial week. And so usually if my patients are describing some form of feeling, a little nauseous, a little tired, I'll tell them to just keep going. And that's probably what their provider will say. If they need any more clinical information or advice, I would tell them to contact the clinic providers that they've probably already met with.
Nice. I guess my question would be, so Leah, in the event that I may have had a recent possible exposure to HIV, what are my options then if I wasn't taking PrEP prior?
In this scenario, do you have insurance?
Yes, I always have insurance.
Okay, great.
You know what?
So if you have a PPO plan, which would be amazing, and we are in network, I would just do an insurance check to make sure that we're in network. And then from there, we would see if you're underinsured. If you're underinsured related to your medical expenses and your income, there's a formula for it that we can do together on the side another day. But if we find out you're underinsured, we'll just put you under DHSP PEP. and we won't use your insurance information for your clinic appointment, and DHSP PEP will be able to cover those costs. But when you do go into that pharmacy, you will show them your insurance card, and then we will also activate Gilead and Vive copay cards for you. That way, any costs that you would acquire would basically be taken up by both of those drug companies. And so you would most likely have no out-of-pocket expenses.
Nice. So I would be put on PEP. How long would I take PEP? How long is that process?
28 days. And then after that ends, we'll call you back in to do a PEP follow-up appointment with us.
Awesome.
Now, Leah, I have a little bit of a personal question.
Yes.
Because last week we talked about, stigma and HIV. We talked a lot about the field of HIV and PrEP and everything. And of course, we talked about women in the field. And
Right.
as we all know, you are the only woman of color in the the prevention division. How does that Black woman? How do you navigate that? How do you navigate a space where you are really going into a lot of communities of color, dealing with a lot of diverse clients, being the only Black woman in the division?
Right. Well, in this way, I feel like the stigma kind of works to my benefit, because I think when someone sees a Black woman, although it's a horrible stereotype to assume that you can just tell her everything about your life, I think it does help make me seem more comforting to her patients. And I think that's not just me being uh-oh. Give me 1 second. Our computer logged us out. Okay, and
we
we're
can
back.
still see you. Yeah.
Okay.
We can still see you.
Good thing I didn't do anything crazy. Not that I would. But I think that it helps them kind of view me as more comforting, and that, I'll be here for them. So regards to the office dynamics, though, I honestly don't really feel a difference being a Black woman in here. I think because we've all kind of worked through unpacking most of the oppressive things we've learned in other areas, I think that our dynamics are amazing. So I don't really feel the stigma very heavily on me, like while being in this cubicle or working under APLA.
I have to say that working with Leah and having her be the only Black woman in the division right now, and let me just say it's not because we don't hire Black women. It's just, again, the work that we do in the field that we're in, it's very male driven, and so we don't see a lot of women that really get into it. But I have to say, Leah, you have been a voice of great reason and great insight in a lot of the conversations that we've had regarding being a person of color, particularly being Black, in this work, doing this work, and helping clients in our community. So kudos to you.
Thank you
for
so
being
much.
awesome and amazing.
Yeah, we love Leah. Leah really will call us out too because we are a little bit like, yes, we are a largely gay organization, but we're a little bit of a boys club sometimes. Some days it's just kind of the guys around. And Leah calls us out on like hyper masculinity in the office, or like anti-woman or famous. She's like, well, that doesn't sound appropriate. So we love to be there.
My favorite line from Leah is, "You're mansplaining to me, and I don't need that."
Mine, you know what? Mine's is, that sounds very problematic. Let's unpack that.
Yes.
Always. So Daniel actually brought up a really good question that I want to get into just before we go into kind of the process of getting PrEP and PEP at APLA, but it's in regards to Black women. So we know when we talk about HIV and Black women have the highest new diagnosis among cisgendered women than any other race. So what would you say, especially to Black women who think that PrEP is just for gay men or just a gay thing? How do you kind of recommend or have that conversation so that Black women understand that, this is a really great tool for them as well for their own sexual health?
Right. I think often when I go to events centered around Black women and sexual health, a lot of the times it's not that they don't feel like PrEP is geared towards them in a way where it's geared to these people. I just feel like they don't know it exists, really. And so I think that sometimes maybe increasing those commercials, I'm not Gilead, so I can't really do that on my own, but I feel like kind of just, meeting them where they're at. And so probably putting that information in more like Black women-centered spaces, or making spaces that aren't Black women-centered more Black women-centered. So I think that it's kind of hard, because I feel like if you put on a commercial and you sprinkle Black women, we don't necessarily know if that's really going to make the difference. And so I think that really putting it somewhere they already feel comfortable and safe, and already feel like this is somewhere I can get great health care, maybe like somewhere like our clinic, I think that would help increase the chance of Black women PrEP uptake in Black women.
Great, thank you.
I know that we're probably about to head to a commercial. I do have a quick question.
Yes.
Because when we talk about risk factors with HIV and women, cisgender Black women, a lot of the conversations that I've had is they don't think that they're at risk. Because to them, risky behavior is like having threesomes, having orgies, sleeping with like 100 people. But it's like, if you're having sexual contact and no condom, that's a risk factor.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you can encourage women to know, so that they're not walking into this conversation thinking like, well, I don't do these types of things sexually, so it doesn't.
Right. I think it's because women already feel so much stigma around sex. And I think to really like hone in on taking care of your sexual health and really showing up for yourself, you would probably have to have a decreased amount of that stigma that you feel. And so I think a lot of the times it's like, how can I exist as a sexual being? And that's my first step of kind of trying to check that off my box, while still also trying to make sure I'm like safe. And what does safe mean? Like socially, like economically, medically. And so I think there's so many factors to it. I don't have a real clear answer for you really, but I guess like normalizing sex, one, and then like taking the shame out of that, especially for women, because I think that a lot of times, even in circles with women won't talk about sex. And so if we can't even make it across that barrier, there's no way that we're going to introduce PrEP, right? And so I think that a lot of times also women focus in on reproductive health and how to make sure you don't get pregnant, and information about that. And so I think that becomes a lot of the focus around women and sex and sexual health. And so I think like incorporating that maybe at a younger age, or like in school, that STDs and learning about sexual health in a way that doesn't solely focus on reproductive health would help. But I think it's so like multifaceted that I wouldn't be able to give you a clear answer today.
Well, always the answer was perfect.
Yeah.
So Leah, before we take our commercial break, for people at home who are interested in getting PrEP or want to kind of know the process, can you quickly kind of describe what is the process to enroll in PrEP with you?
Okay. So let's say someone calls in, and I'm going to just, for this example, say that they're uninsured, because we used Ty as our insured client earlier. If they're uninsured and they come into us, we will first see if they're able to enroll into Medi-Cal. And if they are, we will also connect them with a benefits specialist downstairs. And then if they end up having Medi-Cal, then we can have them also start PrEP with us. Sorry, that's my phone.
She's a busy woman, if anyone is wondering.
PrEP uptake is epic.
Okay.
Yeah.
She is fixing the PrEP issue. People want PrEP.
Hey, COVID
They
has
see her on the
slowed us
link and they're
down.
calling her now.
That's it.
I hope that's why. Do you guys still hear the ringing? Because I do.
No.
Okay, perfect. And so I'm gonna get to that patient. We don't ignore patients over here, but so if a person's uninsured and they want to start PrEP and then they're eligible for Medi-Cal, we will also have them team up with a benefits specialist. While that Medi-Cal coverage becomes active, what we'll do is enroll them into PrEP app, and so at least until they get Medi-Cal, they will have PrEP app coverage and then Gilead coverage that will also enroll them into the Advancing Access Program, like I stated, so they can get their medical visits and their lab costs and their medication coverage for free. And usually how we would have them come in to meet with us in person, and we'd sign all those forms. We'd have them bring in residency verification information, income information, and we would just also take their identification information, so like any proof of like IDs, like passport, really anything that shows us this is who you are. And so with that, we'll make those copies, enroll the patients, and they would technically have coverage within that day. But now, because we're doing it electronically, we're using DocuSign, and so we see that it takes some of our patients a little bit longer to kind of send us the documents back and then send us an email of all the other documents I listed. But as soon as the patients send us everything, we do enroll them within that week. And then we send a message to our clinic to see when we can get sorry, my phone again, the most open available schedule. So we will usually have clients in and out with prep within 3 weeks. Because of COVID, sometimes it's within a month or a little bit longer than that, again, depending on how much they're working with us to get those papers in.
Great.
The faster you work with us as a patient, the faster coverage you get.
Great.
I also want to ask you, I'm sorry, Kai. I also want to ask you, because we have a question from Mr. Dante Morrison. Are there any special circumstances where teens can get on PrEP?
Oh, great question. So actually recently, I think a month ago, we had someone come in who was 16, wanted to get PrEP. And at that point, I think we had 0 clients that were minors that could start PrEP with us. But as of right now, CDPH through PrEP app is allowing minors to get PrEP. And so you'll be my first minor if anyone does decide to come in, but we will be able to start you on PrEP. Carlos in Long Beach has already dealt with that one patient that we had.
Nice.
So great. So then would they need parents with them, or would they be able to do that on their own?
So I cannot give you a formal answer, but I'm going to assume you don't, because I think they would understand, given the circumstances, that the person could advocate for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then we'll get that information a little bit later, and we can post it on this video after, because we want to make sure we're providing everyone with the best information. So right now, we are going to take our commercial break that we always have. And when we come back, we'll be getting more into conversation with Leah and more fun. Well, this was fun too, but more stuff.
I'm excited.
Yay.
Hey guys, Ty here from APLA Health, and I got some good news for you.
APLA Health is launching our first ever at-home HIV testing initiative.
As we battle the global pandemic of COVID-19 and all that it entails,
APLA Health is doing what we can to fill the gaps for those who are in need of knowing their status, linking into care, and having safer sex options.
The initiative, officially known as Swab and Chill, will be our virtual hub for those seeking to take an HIV test, receive HIV kits, link into medical care for those who are HIV positive, while also having access to several other programs and services that specialize in harm reduction for HIV infection.
Such services include PrEP and PEP information, as well as substance abuse services. Our goal with Swab and Chill is to make HIV testing easily accessible and easy to use within the comfort of your own home.
We provide each client with the Aura Quick at-home testing kit. This kit is a simple test that is done by orally swabbing the gums and waiting 20 minutes for your results.
APLA staff is available to virtually assist clients with taking the test while providing resources and support for those who may test positive.
maybe you already know your status and you're just low on condoms and lube due to accessibility. No problem. We can also send you one of our safer sex kits right to your front door.
As we strive to keep our community safer and well-informed, your privacy is also a high priority.
All packaging will appear from APLA Health. Our over-the-phone assessments are quick, easy, and secure, so you can feel safe in sharing your results with us and asking any questions that you may have.
If you or someone that you know is interested in having one of our at-home testing kits mailed to you, or you just want more information on what Swab and Chill can provide, please call one of our team members at 323-329-9713, or just email us.
Come swab and chill with 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 us.
And we are back. So that was our wonderful commercial. Before we get on to today's topic, we did get a comment from Percy from the center. Hey, Percy, if you are looking for a place to vote today and you are in South LA, the center South is actually offering a polling place and ballot drop off today at 7 p.m. If you want to go drop off your ballot or go vote at the polling place, you can go to 2313 West MLK Boulevard, zip code 90008. So go off your ballot. Don't mail in your ballot. It could take a too long now. Now is the time. And there's no lines, no waiting. So that's even better. You don't like voter suppression. And lines and waiting is voter suppression. So get your vote counted. Get now.
Right now.
But let's talk about our free topic today. So we in the office often talk about music. We all love music in the office, and we thought having Leah here was probably the best kind of example of watching us talk about the things that we love. So let's talk about it. New music. What are you guys listening to? What's hip? What's now? What's cool?
Oh, what's hip? Well, like we spoke about on the first episode when we touched base on music for a quick moment, I'm still playing Summer Walker over and over and over again. I see Daniel looking down. I just want to pre-warn all of the viewers, Daniel does not listen to anyone under the age of 50. So Summer
First
Walker
of all,
and the
what's
rest of
not
these
gonna
people,
happen?
he
What's
has
not gonna
no
happen?
idea about.
Life. So here's the thing. I am the oldest one on this panel, number one.
Not by
But
much.
I have all types of
Not by
singers and
enough.
artists. I have all types of singers and artists in my playlist and in my library. But she's just not she's not my judge. I think she's a very talented girl, very beautiful girl, but she's just, I like singers. I like folks that are going to sing me down. So the whisper singer, the whisper singer phase is just not my judge, and I love her. I got her album. I listened to her album. It was great. It was wonderful. I was like, yes, girl, do this. But because for those of you who don't know, I am a singer, and I grew up with singers. Like we sang, Flatfoot sang, and I just it's a tasting. Now, if I'm having a glass of wine and I'm chill, then maybe. Because Summer Walker, like a lot of these new artists we're in this era of vibe music where it's really made for you to kind of like roll a blunt, get a drink, and chill. I don't smoke. And so it's not a vibe that I necessarily need.
The wine portion of it, I get it because it is like a vibe. But I guess let me pose a question to the group. Do you guys feel like music nowadays, or at least in this generation, has become lazy? Do you guys feel like the whisper singers and the mumble rappers are really getting famous based off of doing something that we all pretty much can do?
Yeah. I think that today's music is definitely, from the music side of things, the music has gotten into a realm where everything is do-it-yourself. And that happened right around 2002, 2005. Like in that time, the do-it-yourself music craze really kind of took place and really blew up. And so you have a lot of people who did it themselves. Unfortunately, you had a lot of people who did not have the training or the ear or the education in regards to like music theory or vocal technique to really, do it the way that it has been done. So you have a lot of artists now who got thrust into this industry. They got this fame, but it's something that they never really got trained to do. So you have beats now, it's literally just beats. There's no musicality behind it. There's no chord changes. There's no instrumentation. It's literally a hi-hat, a bass drum, and some and it's a hit.
I was going to say I enjoy that.
I enjoy that, yeah.
But
Leah,
like albums that I'm enjoying right now, I'm enjoying what's the two sisters' names? Beyonce's little girls, Chloe.
They don't like to be called that. They don't like to be Chloe and Halle.
Whatever. The Beyonce's girl. Like if they want to write me a check, not to say it, they can write me a check, not to say it. But I love their. I was listening to their album. Love their album. I'm really, really, really hard right now. I'm listening to, over and over and over. It's an artist. His name is Taurus Riley. He is a reggae artist, and he has a project out called Healing. And that album to me is just amazing. The production of that album is amazing. The lyricism of that album is amazing. His vocal ability of the album is amazing. He has one song that I really, really enjoy called Poor Immigrants that talks about, okay, because I was like, what are we doing? Are we hiding the camera? But he has a song called Poor Immigrants, which I really think is so for the now. And he also has a song talking about, when COVID is over, us getting back together and being able to connect to one another physically. So Taurus Riley, I'm enjoying his album.
Okay, he's probably 50 as well. Leah,
he's not.
Can I get your opinion on my question, please?
About the lazy question?
Yeah.
Although I do see what Daniel was saying, I think the laziness is kind of maybe what makes us all tune in. As long as you have good production and the words are kind of there, you can kind of plop anybody into that artist position, which I think as young people we probably enjoy because we can kind of see ourselves in that. So it could really just be in anyone becoming famous. And so you don't really need that formal training, although I do believe that's beautiful and amazing and great. Not everyone's going to have access to it. And
I love her slight shade. Fabulous. I love the slight shade. That's great.
But
That's
I'm really
excited. But
right in that upper right-hand corner.
This is why I work pearls. I told you I'm going to clutch them.
But I'm the most excited for Ariana, and she comes out Friday. So
a white woman of color, as I like to refer to her as.
But we love Summer over.
Does she what?
She does. She still has the ponytail.
Get rid of the pony, Ari. Just get rid of the pony.
I do want to make a quick comment on Dante's comment where he said, yes, very lazy, but I'm 48, so what do I know? I will tell you this. I have gone to 2 concerts with Dante. One with Kendrick Lamar, where he knew all the words to everything, and the other was Travis Scott. So don't lie for TV, Dante. You knew every word by Travis Scott and every word by Kendrick Lamar. We were screaming it, just spreading our droplets before COVID happened. So don't do that. Once you do it.
I will say this. I grew up, and I'm 35. For those of you who, I'm not trying to make myself sound older, but my mother is 71. So
you're not trying to do it? You're not trying to do that?
I mean, she's 35. Get into it. But my mother is 71. She comes from a completely different era. So I grew up with music where the vocal ability of that artist defined that artist. And so a lot of the singers, a lot of the artists that I grew up liking, they were definitive based on their voice and their talent. And for me, I didn't know the artist's name, and I just played all of their music. They all sound the same. I cannot differentiate one person from the other. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. Yeah, that is fair. Kai?
And I think for me, I wouldn't call this new music lazy. It's different. It is completely different in the sense of what we're listening to. When I listen to Summer, I think Summer really gets me back to, and it's in a different way, and she does it kind of her own way, but it gets me back to this R&B soul feel. I remember growing up listening to lovemaking music in the 90s where I was I don't know what they're talking about, but it feels good. And I think for a while, we were listening to music that just felt good. And so for me, Summer Walker is she the best performer in the world? No. And I think a lot of times that's where people get confused with talent when they're looking at performance. A lot of people, and Ty, you and I talked about this, a lot of times it's not about for a performance. They're just making music, and we can enjoy the music without them performing it. And I know it kind of feels counterproductive to what we think when we think of artists, because we do have some of these living legends and past legends who can not only record a great album, but then you put them on stage and they're going to give you a show and tear the house down.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think we're in this space now where people just want to create something and let it be what it is, and they don't want to explain it. So I often feel a lot of times, especially with someone like Summer, and I don't want to focus just on Summer, but a lot of these younger people, they just want to create something and just say, look what I made, and then wait, but I don't want to do anything with it anymore. And I don't think there's anything that makes it invalid. Back to my favorite white woman of color, Miss Ari. I'm one of the people who got one of her I got her album, and I will say this is different for her, and I'm excited to come out because this new song, Positions, I am one of the I feel like one of the few people in the world who say I don't like it. I mean, I love what we can make this a whole verse anthem for my verse people. Hey, what's up? Top and bottom, get it. I don't like it. Like I just don't like it, but I think I'm excited as well just because of what I've heard from the leaked album. But then we've also got people like Ty Dolla $ign. Like, can we talk about his album? He's got everybody and their mother on the album. He said, every person I work with, you get to work with me now. He's got
what? I wanna be able to piggyback off of what you just said, Kai, before I lose my train of thought, and then also add what you just said too, Daniel. Back in the day, you had to go through the training and the conditioning to be a world-renowned artist. We think like Whitney Houston, Anita Baker, Toni Braxton, Luther Vandross. Like, you had to go through that conditioning to be able to hold a note and just stand there and not have to do a million dance moves or have your background kind of overshadow the fact that you can't sing. So yes, back in the day, that was a requirement. But what I will say, and I agree with Daniel on that, what I agree with, Kai and Leah on is that, I'm a big person about audacity. I love seeing what is number one on the Billboard charts and then listening to it. Like, this has the audacity to be number one, but also following the story behind it. We all remember when Lil Nas X released Old Town Road and no one knew why it popped. It was a blend between trap and country music, and it was really not that good. No shade, no tea to sis. It was really not that good. But the movement behind it, the movement behind it was interesting to see people try to collaborate those two worlds. So I agree. It's a vibe. When I go to a specific artist, I know what I'm looking for. If I want production, I'll listen to Kate Trinata, Terrace Martin, Robert Glasper. If I want vocals, I'm not going to listen to a couple of people that we've mentioned prior, but if I want a mood and a vibe, I will definitely go into my Summer Walker, Jhené Aiko, Travis Scott bag and just mellow out. And sometimes mood music is self-care, right?
Yes.
It's like one of those things where like we're listening.
Not if you listen to Jhené. She don't talk about nothing, but all her songs is depressing.
But we love her for it.
We enjoy Jhené from.
We love Jhené. She does.
All her songs make you want to collect razors. But like, wait a minute.
Yeah, she probably did that too. But yeah, and I think that it's also interesting when people try to limit the amount of artists that we can have. Like, for years, they put Rihanna and Beyonce together. They don't make the same type of music. But you've never seen them really try to put Usher and Chris Brown together. There's been a little bit of talk, but there's never been, if you had to pick one, or like when you see those things on Facebook where one person has to go and all of their music too. And it's like, please don't put the four of them in here because they all have hits, including Beyonce. Like, we can't keep putting these wheels together of artists that don't really roll in the same realm and make them battle each other. We have 80 Little Uzi Vert. I'm okay with 20 Summer Walkers. I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not upset about that.
I think part of the conversation is when, like with me, I've never said I don't like Summer Walker. And I'm using her because her name is brought up, but her, Ari Lennox, all of these newer artists, never said that I don't like them. But I think that what happens is those of us who are more prone to vocal ability, like large vocal, we tend to get like beat and bashed because it's thought that we're saying, the old folks are better than the new folks. I'm a musician, you know what I'm saying? Like, I sing, I'm in this industry. I work in this industry as well. So I definitely understand and appreciate the different realms and the different lanes that music can and has taken. But I also think that we get a lot of commercial praise to artists that, for me personally, they don't really do it for me. Like, I look at artists, like there's a girl, her name is Stout, She is this short,
Mhm.
black, dark, beautiful voice for
Amazing.
cause.
Amazing.
A
Yes. She is a
voice for the
vocalist.
South.
Yes.
STOUT South. You know, I
Yeah.
look
She's
at
a
people
vocalist.
like Riley, formerly known as Amber Riley, who amazing voice, amazing music. Again, Taurus Riley. I look at who did I just added somebody in my library. I don't even know who they was. They came up as a suggestion, and I was like, okay, what's this butterfly album cover? This is cute. I started listening to it, and I was like, okay, come through. So I definitely think music is going to be what music is supposed to be, which is it's supposed to be for everybody. And whatever mood you're in, whatever style you are prone to, you can find that in music. But I do have a problem when people try to take certain artists and just paintbrush them over like everyone should love them. Like everybody don't like Whitney, and that's okay.
That's
Who doesn't
weird.
like Whitney?
Yeah, who doesn't like?
Oh, I've met those people. I've met people who don't like Whitney. I've met people who don't even know who Whitney is.
Now, I will definitely say I've met people who didn't know who she was either, and I was like, okay, we could never be friends. But I get what
Like
you're
the
saying. I
Mariah Carey
understand.
conversation. The Mariah Carey
Mhm.
conversation. To me, I miss everything from the Rainbow album before. That's the
Okay.
Mariah Carey I love and miss.
That's fair.
The
That's fair.
the Mimi chick, y'all can have her.
And
You
we don't
didn't
want
like-
to.
Love her, respect her, but y'all can't have Mimi.
You didn't like
I'll
the
take Mariah.
emancipation of Mimi?
Absolutely. She's emancipated from what? Vocal ability?
You didn't like Shake It Off?
Oh.
Wow.
I want to read Dante's question. He says, "But are those artists on PrEP? What is their sexual health strategy?" So the funny thing about that is we would not be able to answer that because all of that is HIPAA. But but I would definitely like to. I mean, at least within the next year or two, see a mainstream artist come out and support for PrEP. I know that we're still kind of like trying to get the community on it and get the community to research about it and stuff like that. But I would love to see in my lifetime, you know, someone of mainstream status, you know, come and say, you know, PrEP is good, PrEP is this. So I can't answer that question, Dante, because I'd lose my job.
I mean, we did see Frank Ocean try to do something with it.
Did
a little
we?
bit.
Did we? I think that was just a funding issue. I know it's really, really hard to talk about Frank Ocean, but I think that was just a funding thing. It was like, if I put PrEP on this launch party, it'll, one, keep me relevant. I'm not coming at this. I love Frank Ocean, but it's been years. So it was, one, keep me relevant, and then two, I can say that I did this party for a good cause. But did anyone get on PrEP?
But I mean, even if the question was, if a celebrity got behind PrEP, you know, what would they gain? You know what I'm saying? I think that there are people out there, celebrities, artists, you know, actors that do advocate for PrEP, that advocate for just sexual health and education overall. But nobody listens to them. Nobody is paying attention to them. You know, it would be great if Beyonce came out and said, "Yeah, go get on PrEP." But is that the likelihood of that happening?
Well, I think if it was to happen, even though it might be a bit unlikely, it would help a lot of people kind of, or at least destigmatize like PrEP in a way. And so I think that if you know that Beyonce is taking this pill, why would you not also take this pill?
But I think
do you think that
in the industry, I think that they would approach her to promote it. She wouldn't be on it. And that's the problem. You would have, and we talked about this as it pertains to celebrities and politics, where you go out on a platform and you say something or you promote something, but you don't really have the education yourself or experience yourself to really talk about it.
But I think in the age that we exist in, I don't think anyone's checking anyone's requirements or knowledge behind it. I think people do things because someone else they know or follow or see an advertisement. And so I wish people would do their personal research, but I think it would help to have a celebrity endorse it.
Yeah, and Leah, actually, this is a kind of a question because you're younger than us. You're Gen Zer.
Yes.
The Gen Zers get a lot of their information off of social media, and we see how easy it is, especially with music, how a song can come big because there's a little dance or something attached to it. So do you think that like including more information on apps like TikTok, like if one of these TikTok stars like just had a real conversation about PrEP and that went viral, do you think that would make a difference and make a change in PrEP uptake for younger people?
Yes, completely. I actually saw a young woman tweet about PrEP maybe a month and a half ago. And I think she was a UCLA college student, and that tweet went viral. I think it had over 20K retweets, and a lot of the responses were saying that they didn't know what PrEP was before her tweet. And so when I say meeting people where they're at, I think everyone, especially because of this pandemic, a lot of our social scene, knowledge scene is really online. So will I be doing the dance to create the PrEP video on TikTok? No, but I think it would be great to have someone else do it.
I don't even know how to work TikTok, and I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
I don't have it. But
I do.
Take your time and get into it. It's really nice.
So we are going to kind of segue a little bit. So as everyone knows, elections are next week. And, we've been pounding you over the head about why it's important to vote, 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 vote. But we were shared this wonderful video that we wanted to share with everyone else about voting and the importance of voting. Look at that. We love a ballot. Make sure you drop it off. Go drop. Oh, you voted already. Okay.
Oh, I did. I just kept it.
Okay. So we are going to show you a video that we found. Now, warning, there's some adult language, but we're all adults, so, you're okay.
Let's get weird. Let's do it.
Video, and we will be back after it. Hit it.
You'll never guess what happened the other day.
Oh, you got called basic.
Your OnlyFans got deactivated.
Your gym said, we're open.
And then said, psych!
No. I got yelled at after sex.
You were that bad?
Did you stay in his sheets? Because I know a cleaner that doesn't ask any questions.
You'll never guess what happened the other day.
Oh, you got called basic.
Your OnlyFans got deactivated.
Your gym said, we're open.
And then said, psych!
No. I got yelled at after sex.
You were that bad?
Did you stay in his sheets? Because I know a cleaner that doesn't ask any questions.
No. Picture it. West Hollywood, 2020. A young gay man. Young gay man has an afternoon hookup.
Oh, damn, you're so hot.
Thanks. Let's go again.
I can't. I'm voting early today.
I haven't voted.
Are you going to?
No.
Well, are you at least registered?
No.
Get the f*** out of my apartment, you selfish rat!
Whoa! Just a second ago, you said I was hot.
Yeah? Well, non-voters make my dick go like this to this real quick.
What difference does my vote even make?
Ouch! I can't believe I have your unregistered load in my ass right now!
I'm on PrEP!
Me too, doofus.
There is so much to unpack in that story.
Yeah, like A, you didn't vote.
B, you don't think voting is important.
And C, am I the only one still not having sex with randos? Like, for real.
Well, would you kick someone out of your bedroom for not voting?
Yes.
Why? Who are you to bully me into voting?
Not voting is an abuse of power.
And to me, when someone says they don't care to vote, it says, whichever way the election goes doesn't affect me, so who cares?
Who cares about immigration? Who cares about healthcare? Who cares about racism?
Who cares about other people's circumstances? Because my privilege day to day is probably going to look the same.
Who cares about LGBTQ rights, even though that's our community?
Sure, I'll have gay sex, but to hell with gay rights.
But it's just random sex. Would you give up good dick just because somebody didn't vote?
I'm sorry. My principles mean more to me than good dick.
If I'm affected by your negligence, why would I want you in my ass?
I once took a $72 Uber to Rancho Mirage for mediocre dick, and I would still do that any day over bomb-ass non-voter dick around the corner.
I just think it's silly that not voting would dictate who you have sex with or not.
Having the ability to choose someone who dictates my finances, my planet's health, or what rights I do or do not have isn't silly to me.
And maybe it's silly too, but I would be filled with way too much internalized rage, thinking about what your morals or value system must be for me to feel any kind of horniness.
What is silly to me is that you couldn't care less. You couldn't be bothered to pull a lever or fill out an envelope.
Yeah, well, it's my right to not be political.
And it's somebody else's right to yell at you for it and not want to associate with you sexual or otherwise.
Let's change the subject. Any big plans this weekend?
Ugh, staying in. I'm still recovering from Atlanta Pride. I partied so hard, I got gout. What are you guys doing? Oh, what's the big deal? It's my right to have a good time in a dark warehouse. So what if it's a super spreader event at the public's expense? The rules don't apply to me. This is pride we're talking about!
You're a dumb gay person.
Dumb.
And basic.
Ugh.
So everybody department talked me, and obviously, before we sign off, one thing I want to remind people is we currently have a president with no political experience. We have the head of the education department who's never worked in education, and now we have a new Supreme Court justice who has only 1 year of actively practicing law experience. Voting is important because the people in power at this current point, and one of them with a lifetime appointment, don't know what they're doing. So, vote, everyone. Vote, 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 vote. Register. We put a video yesterday where you can go if you are still looking for places to vote at. The center is having that voting option or the voting poll open today. So please, it matters. Your voice matters. This is important. And not just who's going to be the president, but also the laws in California are on the ballot now, too. So make sure you guys are doing that and listen out for that. Before we go, so Leah, how can people get in contact with you?
Oh, so I guess my number just went on the bar. So it is 323-329-9702. And that's my direct line. So it honestly connects to my cell phone, which is great at times, not so great at other times. But also calls come up on my computer and the phone that I have right here. We do have a prep line number. I don't see it listed, but it is 323-359-0846. So at any given point, me and the 2 other prep navigators that we have will have that phone on us as well. And so if you want to reach out to an APLA Health prep navigator, maybe at the Long Beach Center or the Olympic Center, you would call that number, or even me. So, yeah.
Well, we want to thank you, Leah, so much for having you on. We're definitely going to have you on.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I would love to be on here again. This is amazing.
We're definitely going to have you again. Everyone out there, please vote. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you all next week. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.
We'll have a new president that day.
They get inaugurated in January.
Yeah, but we will have a special guest to talk about politics with us. Stay tuned for next week. All right, bye, everybody.